A country of moral relativists is a country that allows evil to exist at home and abroad. That's a direct consequence of one of the most fashionable foreign policy frameworks in America right now. I bring this up because on Wednesday night, Piers Morgan had Will Chamberlain on his show, and they talked about Israel's nuclear weapons. Piers asked a question I'm sure many have wondered over the years. Why doesn't Israel have to disclose whether it has nuclear weapons? Let's watch Will's answer.
Well, because they're our ally and Iran's our enemy.
See,
it's
so
because we're the good guys.
Okay, that's very
Iran's the
interesting.
bad guys.
A very interesting admission. So our friends don't need to be transparent about their nuclear capability, but our enemies.
It's good to be America's friend.
But our enemies do.
Yes.
Wow.
That's exactly how it works.
Will nailed it. Israel doesn't have to disclose its nuclear weapons because they are our ally. So why do we get to decide who must disclose their weapons and who doesn't? Because we are the global superpower. We set the rules for the Western world, and that's a good thing. Because America is a uniquely moral nation led by people who traditionally understand the difference between good and evil. Some people lately have claimed that our position as the global superpower is outdated or even wrong, that our role should be shared among several great powers so that they all balance one another out. This vision is called a multipolar world. In a multipolar world, no single nation leads. Each major power dominates its own region. Russia controls Eastern Europe, China rules East Asia and the Pacific, Islamic states compete for the Middle East, and the United States governs the Americas. On paper, that sounds balanced, the ideal world of the multipolarists. But in practice, it means surrendering our values of democracy, freedom, and human rights to nations that reject them. It means pretending that Russian authoritarianism or China's surveillance state are morally equal to America's principle of liberty. This philosophy, championed by Russian thinker Alexander Dugin and now echoed by former conservative Tucker Carlson, requires moral relativism, the belief that truth and virtue are unknowable, and that whatever is right or moral depends entirely on one's culture. The problem is, when moral relativism shapes the world, true evil still exists, and it gets accepted. America has been built on moral clarity. Now, obviously, you can point to specific things in our history that weren't so great, but there's no denying that America has always acted on the conviction that our values are true. While technology limited our influence to just our hemisphere until the 20th century, since then, our global efforts have been dominated by the understanding that our values are good, moral, and true. Before I walk you through the historical case, I want to know, do you think that America has a moral obligation to lead? Tell me in the comments, because what you believe about that will determine whether everything I'm about to say makes sense to you or sounds completely wrong. It started in World War II, where, yes, we were forced into the war after Pearl Harbor. But from that point on, what did we do? Did we just go after Japan? No, we went to fight the axis of evil in Europe. We didn't settle for letting Hitler have his sphere of influence in Europe while we only fought Japan in our part of the world. We went after evil wherever it was, and we won. After World War II, we continued that approach in the Cold War. We didn't let the Soviet Union have their sphere of influence over half the world while we stayed home. Some of these proxy wars may not have been the right call in hindsight. You can obviously debate Vietnam, but you can't debate South Korea. We fought there, pushed back the line to where it is today, and helped build a free nation. Same with the Berlin airlift. We took the fight to evil where we could. Reagan finished it by bankrupting their system. And the Gulf War. You can debate the aftermath. We didn't leave cleanly enough, but Saddam invaded Kuwait, and we led a coalition to push him out in 100 hours. We didn't say that was just Middle East business to ignore. We've made mistakes on both ends of the spectrum in our history. We waited too long to enter the world wars, and we stayed too long in the Middle East trying to build nations that reflected our values. What I'm advocating for is a middle ground, where we are still the global superpower, but we are guided by a moral lens of right and wrong. Through this moral lens, we can decide where evil exists. Through our moral lens, we can think long-term and assess how likely that evil is to affect America down the road. If it's likely that evil will be harmful to us down the line, we strike. That requires strong leadership, confident leadership, leadership that doesn't flinch in the face of international and internal pressure. That requires someone exactly like Donald Trump. He does what I've called strategic engagement. Precision strikes against those who threaten U.S. interests, and when necessary, a prolonged campaign like we are seeing in Iran right now. And yes, fighting evil requires sacrifice. We've seen that with the lives of 13 servicemen over the past month of fighting. But in the end, we get a more peaceful world without threats of regimes that want nothing but to destroy us. Trump is trying to prove that being the global superpower doesn't require forever wars. He is employing a new strategy here that we haven't seen play out in real time before. I'm confident that he'll end up on top, as he always has before. And if it works, it signals a new way forward for America, a blueprint for how to deal with American interests abroad. And his way requires moral clarity. It requires a knowledge of right and wrong, good and evil, moral and immoral. And to bring it back to Israel, it requires allies that fight with us when we assert our influence. It requires allies who know good from evil because they face threats from evil every day. And that's exactly why they don't have to disclose their nuclear weapons. They are on our side, and they fight evil with us. If their enemies worry about them having nukes, it means that their enemies will be worried about launching full-scale attacks to wipe them off the face of the earth. It means that they stick around longer to fight evil with us. Subscribe and like the video for more from me. I'm trying to build a brand based on honest, reasonable takes and not the performative outrage you get from so many pundits online these days from both sides of the political aisle. If that resonates with you, subscribe for me and head to my Substack to get new releases emailed directly to you. With that, I'll see you next time. Thank you.